Well, hi, I'm Philip Jones, and otherwise known as the Martini Whisperer. If I was to say how my company evolved, it was never a business plan. It was never a conscious moment. Several years ago, when I'd sit down on a Friday evening and have a martini to end the week, I was going to say, I'm going to take over the world one martini at a time. That thought never occurred to me. But as a moral lesson, what happens when you tweet when you're drunk? So the story goes something like this. So as I was saying, at the end of a Friday busy week, I had my own business, worked in my own business for many years. A good martini or two on a Friday night would usually be a good way to start the weekend, I thought. At the time, Canberra was about to have its 100th birthday, and they're looking for ideas and people in the community to contribute to the whole program to celebrate the Canberra's birthday, centenary. So after a couple of martinis, I tweeted, I know, I'll make a martini for Canberra, says me. To my whole 50 followers at the time. And I'm not on Twitter anymore. This is why I'm not on Twitter anymore. And the official Centenary Canberra government account wrote back straight away, that's a great idea, we can't wait to see it, to their 50,000 followers. I went, heck, I've got to do it now. So that started the journey. So a very long story cut short, I ended up having a glass artist outside Canberra, Peter Minson, make this bespoke martini set. I reached out to distillers around Australia. At the time, there weren't very many. There was only a handful of distillers and one or two vermouth makers. So I wanted something that spoke of all of Australia to mark the centenary. So the West Winds Gin from West Australia came to the party, a wonderful vermouth called Maiden Eye out of Melbourne, because Melbourne was the capital once upon a time before us. And so it went. And next thing you know, we've got media events and the Chief Minister's launching it, and we have a ball at the National Press Club, and it's black tie, and it's a fabulous time. Next thing you know, stock is turning up on my doorstep from distillers around Australia saying, oh, we like what you did here, would you like to review our vodka or our gin or whatever, whiskey? And I just snowballed from that. And so I always took care to write very carefully about, I respected the distillers and the craft and the sacrifice and the work they put into it. And over time, the whole thing is just snowballed. So it started as a website, and then of course engaged in social media. And the heart of it has always been to tell these stories. They're the real heroes, if you like. They're the ones who put their businesses and their families and their mortgages and their houses on the line to create amazing spirits all around Australia. And we've gone from a handful of places, as I said, a few years ago, to over 185 gin makers alone here in Australia, and counting. Every week there's another 2 or 3 popping up. So that's one side of Martini Whisperer, the reviews and the insights and sharing my passion and my enthusiasm for what Australia, and also makers from around the world do with craft spirits. There's the whole cocktail culture, which is the other sort of parallel journey of there's amazing bars around Australia now that kind of bring these things to life. Along the way, companies and individuals would go, well, can you make a cocktail for us, or can you do a special event, and so on. So I have this whole another repertoire with a great team, and we do bespoke corporate events and private events. They might be martini experiences, how to make a great martini. There could be a special cocktail I make just especially for a special occasion for a corporate client. And so it goes. And so it's a very unique kind of model, really. And I'm even in the game now of advising distillers when they're creating new products on ways to improve it. So I might do some market testing for them or help them develop the recipe in the background. It's all their work and they get the credit. But because I've got this experience now of sampling thousands and thousands of spirits around the world, they value that kind of input, independent input I bring in. So I'm very careful not to align myself with any one brand, and that's very helpful too. I'm also an associate member of the Australian Distillers Association, which is a new professional body for the industry. So I stay in touch with what their issues are. I had the privilege of being a part of a delegation last year of the Treasurer with some other distillers from around Australia to make the case around the way the tax regime works for these distillers, and so it goes. So it's all kind of evolved, and this is what happens when you sit down on a Friday night and have a tipsy tweet. You never know where you're going to end up. So what I want to make for you is the classic dirty martini. There are various styles of martini. You've heard of course the dry and the very dry. There's even a martini called the perfect martini, which is one of the original recipes back in the 1920s, 1930s, where essentially half dry vermouth and half gin. Enough that for another time. Most martinis have a life expectancy of about 15 minutes. The reason being because you want them chilled and pristine as long as possible. After that, they tend to become a waterborne booze, which is not appealing at all. But the dirty martini has a longer life expectancy, because by virtue of its saltiness and its savoury character, you can really stretch it out. So they say it's a really good wedding reception cocktail because you can just chat and have all the good catch-ups and still have a nice cocktail and everyone's happy. But they can be hard to pull off, and I'm going to show you how. So the gin I'm going to be using for this Dirty Martini is a Canberra gin. It got released in 2018, but still is Clyde-Morton, and it's called Big River. And it's a very aromatic and soft and generous. It's a really nice classic London botanical, London dry spices in it. Of course, there's juniper bear like all gins do, but there's like beautiful citrus and other notes to it. So in a Dirty Martini, should be really soft and pleasant. And the vermouth I'm going to use is a classic French dry vermouth called Nonny Prat, one of my go-tos. It's got a really nice winey herbaceous spice to it, and a good dose of that, and a special Brunner & creation. So a big trend at the moment is low alcoholic beverages, and people like to having that choice. You don't always want a big strong drink like a martini. Well, I do, but other people don't. So the whole idea of a spritzer, and spritzers are back in trend. You got to imagine back in the day like wine and soda and wine or lemonade even and things like that. What I'm going to make for you is actually a low alcoholic version of that using an Australian vermouth called Maidenai. So Maidenai comes out of Melbourne, and vermouth, you should know, it's a very old style of beverage. Comes out of medicinal drinks, the 16th, 1700s, 1800s. And so it's wine with herbs aged in barrels. So this particular Maidenai is a really, really refined product. They have a few different ranges, but it's going to be a very light, aromatic, with nice fresh fruit and mint. Very refreshing for on a hot summer's day and rehydrate you, but still, feel like you're having a grown-up drink. So the third cocktail I want to present to you today is the classic Italian gift to the world, Negroni. You got to imagine you're sitting on a piazza in some sun-kissed little village in Italy. It's not quite dinner time yet, but you want a little something. So Negroni traditionally is equal parts of gin, sweet vermouth and Campari with a slice of lemon or a slice of orange on ice, and it's a fantastic way to start the evening and before you go into dinner. But today, I'm going to present to you an all-Australian ingredient Negroni. So the last couple of years we've seen a real explosion of very interesting expressions on these European ideas. So we're staying a bit local again in Canberra. So I'm going to use the Canberra Distillery original gin, dry gin, as its base. From South Australia, Applewood make a thing called Amaro or Oka, which is a bit like indigenously harvested ingredients, small batch. It's different every year, and it's going to take the substitute for the Campari. And for the sweet vermouth side of things, I'm going back to my friends at Maidenai. They make an exquisite sweet vermouth that's very kind of strawberry and raspberry and a little bit of eucalyptus in there as well. So I'm going to put those together and make a really nice cocktail.